What's up, guys? Josh here for day 30 of Road to 200 Million Slayer experience, and what a eventful few weeks it's been with Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever you celebrate, and then New Year's, and well, I hope everyone had a really good holiday, or start to their holidays for most people, and I guess it's time to get back into the general swing of things now that the holidays are kind of settling down a bit. Before I go much further, I just want to quickly mention that I might not make daily Slayer updates like I used to, because I think for at least a few videos it was kind of clear that I didn't really have that much to talk about, but kind of just made the video for, why not, sort of mentality. But try to avoid that, I guess, and I'll try to have something interesting to say or some sort of commentary that I can expand upon, because although my subs are few, I think I have a very intelligent audience, and I very often get some very good feedback from the things I say, so I respect that about you guys, so suck up, suck up, suck up. So moving on, I'll quickly start off this whole thing by listing off the experience gains. So I've been really trying to just do my tasks as melee, because I am very close to 200 mil attack, or fairly close to 200 mil attack, and I'm not so keen on leaving it there for too long. So I'm just like, oh, I'll bite that small Slayer experience per hour drop just to get it. So, smart or not, that's what I'm doing. Okay, so today I've gained 745k magic experience, 2.1 million Slayer experience, and 2.1 million attack experience. Sorry, someone had a heart attack. And of course 1.76 million Slayer experience gained. And yeah, pretty good day all up. And before anyone says anything, I didn't actually really play that much in the grand scheme of things. I mean, I still played a very healthy amount of time, but I think today, around the 5.5 hour mark of playing RS off and on, like taking breaks and just going and doing other things, or just doing whatever, not 100% concentrated on RuneScape, I had like 850k Slayer experience gained for the day, so it was more like when I played fairly efficiently today, so that's interesting to see how much better that can be. I actually, all up, I had a fairly good day of tasks. I think I had 2 error tasks and amazingly 5 effigies, which probably helped my fairly good Slayer gained, what have you, excuse me. And yeah, so I'll just quickly go back to my XP. I am 161.4 million attack experience, so that's why I really want to get it. I just hit 100 million Constitution experience, 71.6 million Magic experience, and of course 103 million Slayer experience. It's interesting to see bit by bit how much closer I'm getting, and I don't know if I've even mentioned it, but I'm actually past the 1 billion experience mark, maybe around-ish a week or so ago, not actually too sure. And I'm currently at 1 billion and 30 million overall experience, so that's all well and good, fairly well on track. The last few days, bit uneventful in terms of gains, and I still managed to meet my goal pretty much every day. It really helped that the day I actually got 100 million Slayer, I got about about 2 million Slayer experience that day, I think, or the day before, 2 million Slayer experience in the day. So pretty much my week was very well on track just because of that good session of RuneScape that I had. Uh, I did I did get a quick topic suggestion from a friend who, honestly, I don't even know why he wants me to talk about this so much, but he wanted me to say my opinion on my thoughts on the difference between small towns and large cities and what they like to live in and the opportunities and benefits, disadvantages of whatever. Um, I think this is because I currently live in a fairly small town, and I think I think my friend was kind of referring a bit elitist, elitely, whatever, to the somewhat negative reputation for the city I live in. But I'll get to that in all due time. So I've lived in major cities, or as far as a major city in Australia goes, and some fairly small cities in Australia, and towns rather. And I'll say straight off the bat, uh, for me, I tend to stay fairly centralized anyway. In that I might be a little bit of an introvert in a way. Like I'll pick my neighborhood and some like local points, and I'll just kind of stick to them, or I'll find some good friends and I'll just really do stuff with them, and I won't try to branch myself out too much. So in that way, for me, maybe it doesn't even matter that much where you live. But yeah, that might sound a bit weird to some people. I promise it's not as kind of sad as it sounds. so so for me, the advantage of living in a small town is that it's not busy, so that's always nice. Um, I have been in Sydney, which is the largest city in Australia, I believe, still, for anyone, for any non-Australians that are watching this video. And to be completely honest, the crowds were a bit infuriating, especially when people kind of just barge onto the roads at the second the stoplight comes up, and you feel like a huge tidal wave of bodies and suits are kind of propelling you forward. Uh, and of course, I find with large cities, of course it attracts the maybe the unsavory of sorts. Um, so like pretty large criminal sort of enterprises, and especially neighborhoods or ghettos or whatever you want to call them, tend to be a much bigger problem in these bigger cities because of the population sizes. And of course, there's the homeless epidemic, which is, did I say that weirdly? Homeless epidemic that is in many major cities, especially Sydney. Pretty much every time I've been there, I've never been able to look to a street corner without seeing at least a beggar or two, or a homeless person, or whatever. And I know that situations are not usually, or oftentimes are not the homeless person's fault, but I think it's almost a sign of a sickness in society when you see such a huge amount of them. And you'll see them in places like where I've lived in these smaller towns, but they're not on that level. And I almost think they tend to have more shelters or facilities to them, or at least more fitting the population of these people that are in this place. And yeah, it's just really sad to see, but
with small towns, um, especially one where I just lived and kind of where I live currently, there is the tendency of a fairly select group of idiots. And this is more due to the huge concentration of youth, which is a big problem. Um, I think anyone who's been a teenager, so pretty much anyone that's watching this video, knows that teenagers are idiots. We were all idiots. I may still be an idiot because I'm 18. Uh, a lot of people have their hormones mixed up and all these different things. Are aggressive. They're kind of looking for somewhere to belong. They don't really understand a lot of things, and they are very, very violent a lot of the time, and they tend to get into drugs and alcohol, and that just creates this whole other social epidemic. And not to sound like a nuts, like a moral Nazi, but a moral Nazi. Okay. Uh, so in a small town, there will be a huge amount of them. I couldn't really give a reason why, but what starts off as a nice town, or maybe you just think of it as a nice town, in 10 years, where the high concentration of kids grows up, these kids are obviously in the age range where they're more susceptible to doing stupid shit, and so high teenager population, high crime, and retarded behavior. And that's a big problem on the Gold Coast and Sunshine Coast, and basically the majority of the upper northern slash eastern coastline of New South Wales and the southern slash eastern part of Queensland. And maybe in that way small towns have a disadvantage, but like anywhere there are probably just as many nice people as there are idiots. And that's how you have faith in the world, when you know that there's always going to be that group of people who, no matter what, won't glass you or have like pick a fight in the streets or anything. And I think in that way, it's not so bad when you weigh through it. You'll have a lot of you'll have spurts of difficulties and like maybe during certain periods of time when there's quite a few disadvantaged youths and everything, but as often is the case, that sort of thing kind of rises and falls with current events, and that'll all be fine. But with the whole thing of maybe some towns like the one I live in having particularly negative connotations, and a few people from my town will be watching this video, so maybe they'll disagree, maybe not, but I honestly think we don't get a fair sort of representation. I mean, I was in a smaller town not too long ago, and they would talk nothing but crap about where they lived, and how the next town over, which is the one I'm currently in, was the town to be desired to live in, and it was much, much, much more desirable. So eventually I moved to this town, and I find this town's people like to rip on where they live just as much as the previous town over. So just going from group to group, they both hate where they live, and they're convinced that it is a particularly nasty place to live. When I think it's just kind of a thing to think the problems of your town or where you live are very particular to your current location. And I don't think any place is perfect. Um, I don't think I don't think you can judge the people that live in a certain town by the reputation that you think the town holds. I think you should always judge a person separately from all other connotations or backgrounds and everything. That might be me just being optimistic and thinking someone can shine through no matter what. But from where I live and from the area that is around me, it's really not as bad as a lot of people seem to want to make out, especially people who live in this town and people from very wealthy suburbs of very particular parts of major cities in Australia. And, I think it's unfortunate, to be honest, but when it comes down to it, I think a major city has many advantages that a small town could just not practically have, like access to many more services, and I mean, obviously, and many different sort of cultural and educational opportunities and all of that good stuff. But towns are honestly much, much more peaceful, as you would expect. They they have a lot better access to nature in many cases, although with Australian cities, especially Sydney, uh, I think they do fairly well incorporating parks and coastlines and beaches or whatever and all that stuff to make the cities very bearable. So maybe that doesn't really hold true so much to Sydney or some major cities in Australia, but oh, 16 minutes, fantastic. Sorry, guys. I wonder if anyone watches up to this point. So I'll just wrap it up and say, no matter where you live, there are benefits and disadvantages, and I just hope that the person you are can be created and identified separately from where you live, and moreover that people not judge people too harshly from where they're from. And this video almost kind of sounds like it's a challenge to the friend who asked me to make this video, but it's really not. All right. Yeah. So just one quick thing I want to point out is that I did sell my Draco maces. I probably should have mentioned this earlier before I rabbled on for like over 12 minutes, but I bought Drago longswords and sold the maces because they do a bit better damage, and it gave me the opportunity to put my dragon longswords into my keepsake thing. So now I get to walk around like an absolute badass with two dragon longswords. I love the look of them, and they confuse the ever-living hell out of people who see me. So, thank you for watching, guys. I hope a few of you made it to the end. I think maybe that particular friend did because he likes longer videos. So maybe he'll yell at me tomorrow or call me an idiot, but you know what, Gib? Fuck you. I don't care. Yeah, that's it. So, see you later, guys. Maybe see you tomorrow. Peace.